First by Mr. Stanley, second by Dr. Sneed. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Brings us to minutes. So the next item we have on our agenda this evening is approval of minutes of the school board meeting and executive session held on May 26, 2026.
Need a motion for the approval of minutes, please. First by Mr. Stanley, second by Mr. Wybrew. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Brings us to approval of vouchers. We had EFTs in the amount of $1,172,679.38. We had check numbers 10542 through 10558 in the amount of $123,120.66. We did have a no check adjustment of $170.90 for our bank fees for the month of May. And we also had our payroll from June 5th in the amount of $287,623.09, bringing our grand total to $1,583,594.03.
Any questions on vouchers?
One question, it looked like several of them were quite large. Is that payout for the unity contract? Is that what we have there?
So when are you speaking to personnel or, we paid our Heinz bill. And so now what they allow us to do, since they started tracking teacher salary expenditures, they allow us to code that to salary and benefits through the co-op. So that's why those were a little bit inflated. There also would have been some spring coach payoffs in there, and that type of thing.
That's one.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good. All right. I need a motion for approval of vouchers, please. First by Dr. Sneed, second by Mr. Stanley. All those in favor? Motion passes.
The next item I have for you this evening is approval of personnel as presented in your packet.
Need a motion for the approval of personnel, please. First by Dr. Sneed, second by Mr. Stanley. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Then I seek approval of the addendum of personnel. I'll give you guys a chance to get there in board docs.
Have I moved too fast? I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's the same one.
I'm sorry?
You've done the same one.
So it's different. It's different.
He's good.
What is it?
He's good.
Okay.
Need a motion for the approval of the addendum personnel, please. First by Mr. Stanley, second by Mr. Wybrew. All those in favor? Motion passes.
The next item we have this evening, we have no donations, so we can skip right through that. We have no fundraisers, so we'll skip right through that. Brings us to action items. The first action item I have for you is a recommended revision to the 26-27 school calendar, and I'll take a minute to explain. After living a year with built-in makeup days in our calendar, we received, our association actually surveyed our staff, as well as some parental communication that I had just about the confusion that makeup days create, whether we're in session, whether we're not. And the overwhelming majority of our teachers desired to move away from makeup days. So what that means is that on a canceled day now, it either becomes a day of asynchronous learning or synchronous e-learning, okay? And so we went back in partnership with the association and their calendar committee to suggest these revisions. And I want to make sure I don't miss anything here. We also took it on ourselves to clean up a couple things in the process. So these revisions that I have before you this evening eliminate the 5 makeup days. MLK Day and President's Day would just become straight no school days, okay? This also aligns our 2-hour delay days to the first Wednesday of each month. So in September, October, November, February, March, and April, we hold those 2-hour delay days, but they weren't consistent on the originally approved calendar to be the first Wednesday of each of those months. And so that's revised. The other thing that this changes is it just shortens the end of the school year by 2 days. So we did not mess with the start of school. We did not mess with any of the major breaks. We just eliminated the makeup days, made MLK and President's Day actual days off school, and then shortened the end of the school year by 2 days. And so that is what I am seeking approval for this evening. If you guys were to approve, I will make sure that this gets communicated out to our families and gets published on our website ASAP. But again, did not mess with the start of school, any of the major breaks, anything like that.
And this calendar does align with Grant County spring break.
Correct. Fall break and spring
Fall
break.
break, spring break.
Yes.
Any other questions? All right, need a approval for the 26-27 calendar revisions, please. First by Mr. Stanley, second by Dr. Sneed. All those in favor, motion passes.
The next item I have for you is approval of our food service director contract. This is the contract that comes to us from Eastbrook Community Schools after they approve it for Mrs. Bernay. So Eastbrook has approved it from their end and have now passed it along to us for seeking your approval for Mrs. Bernay's contract and joint agreement between Eastbrook Community School Corporation and Madison-Grant United School Corporation for the 26-27 school year.
Any questions on the food director contract? Need a motion for approval of the food director contract, please. First by Mr. Wyber, second by Mr. Stanley. All those in favor, motion passes.
The next item I have for you this evening is approval of school nutrition vendors. So Mrs. Bernay is requesting approval for the following vendors: the HPS, which is a purchasing group, Gordon Food Service, Commercial Food Systems, Dairy Farmers of America, which is Kemp's out of Huntington, American Pest, Velvet Ice Cream, 7-Up/Snapple, Standardized Food Systems, Incorporated or Smart Systems, Turner Refrigeration, and Smart Care Equipment Solutions.
Questions? Need approval for the school nutrition vendors, please. Not all. Nate, first by Dr. Sneed, second by Mr. Stanley. All those in favor, motion passes.
The next action item I have for you this evening is the 26-27 meal prices. And so Mrs. Bernay and I are recommending the following breakfast and lunch meal prices for the 26-27 school year. For the 26-27 school year, Madison-Grant United School Corporation will continue to provide free breakfast for all students. And then Mrs. Bernay has recommended we increase lunch prices 10 cents for paid lunches. Madison-Grant has not increased meal prices since the 22-23 school year. So in grades pre-K through 5, or what will be Madison-Grant Elementary, those lunch prices will go from $2.30 to $2.40. Out here at Madison-Grant Junior Senior High School, they would go from $2.50 to $2.60. Reduced lunch remains at 40 cents, and adults would remain at $4.60.
Any other questions? Need a motion for the approval of the meal prices. First by Mr. Wyber, second by Mr. Stanley. All those in favor, motion passes.
The next two items I have for you is in coordination with our food service department, our custodial department, as we considered our staffing and with the somewhat realignment of becoming one elementary school. And so as Mrs. Bernay and I have a recommendation here first for the restructure of our food service department, and I worked alongside Mrs. Bernay on this. But our current structure in our food service department is that we have a manager in all 3 school buildings with 2 separate pay rates. So the manager out here was a separate pay rate of the 2 elementary schools. We had an assistant manager out here, but none at either of the elementary schools. We had a head cook on a separate pay rate in all 3 school buildings. And then we had school lunch staff with an additional pay rate in all 3 school buildings. And so Mrs. Bernay and I are recommending that we go to a manager in both buildings, 1 pay rate for a manager in our food service department in the district. We go to an assistant manager in both buildings with 1 pay rate. And then we just have school lunch, 1 pay rate. So essentially we would go from 5 pay rates down to 3 and be structured the same, since each building is servicing the same number of grades. So that is the first recommendation I have for you this evening in regards to the restructure of food service department.
And none of the current employees are gonna have a reduction in pay rate, correct?
No, ma'am.
And we've retained all of our food service
Correct.
people, correct?
Yep. So yeah, nobody in our food service department would see a reduction in pay. And if our action item coming up, if you guys approve that this evening, then actually all see an increase.
Increase in pay.
Can we get an outline of what each of these people are going to be responsible for?
Okay,
Just
so.
a general
So the
outline.
manager is the oversight of the entire kitchen, okay? Kitchen staff in each of our buildings, food coordination, staff management, all that. The assistant managers are gonna be responsible for breakfast, so that will be the additional layer, and then they will serve in that capacity if the manager were to be out, okay? And then food service staff is responsible for preparation and distribution of food. All of them participate at all levels. When I say that, I mean, it's nothing to see our managers running the cash register or serving food or cleaning or whatever it may be. They all pitch in, but our managers in the food service department, really their responsibilities wouldn't change versus what they are right now. The assistant manager responsibility wouldn't change. It would just be the addition of an assistant manager position at the elementary, but those duties would remain the same that they've been out here at the junior, senior high school.
So we're going from 3 managers to 2.
So one of those is sliding into the assistant manager position, but not at a reduction of pay.
What about head cooks?
Head cooks are maintaining their pay and just becoming food service. Again, nobody's seeing a reduction in pay. Responsibilities are staying consistent with how we've been aligned. It's just redistribution of positions across both buildings.
Questions? All right, need a motion for the restructuring of the food service department, please.
One,
Yep,
I just
yeah,
have one question. Obviously, the head cooks that are, remain pay, if they were to leave and we refill that position, they would come in at.
Correct. As just a normal school lunch rate.
Need a motion for the restructure of the food service department, please. First by Mr. Haynes, second by Mr. Stanley. All those in favor? Motion passes.
And I will remind you real quick, our food service department is self-funded. So that is all paid for through school lunch funds and state and federal meal reimbursements. So they don't impact our education or operations fund in any way. The next item I have for you in coordination with Mr. Richards is a restructure of our custodial department. And I'll explain this, much like our food service department. Current structure is that we have a head custodian in all 3 school buildings with 2 separate pay rates. And then we have custodians in all 3 school buildings with a different pay rate. What we are proposing is a structure with 1 lead custodian for the entire district, and I'll get to descriptions here in a second. But 1 lead custodian for the entire district, and then essentially just custodians at an additional pay rate. So we'd go from 3 pay rates down to 2, with 1 lead custodian running between both buildings. So what would that lead custodian be responsible for? Supervision of all custodians within the corporation, be the first sub for all custodial positions on any shift at any building. So even if it were if Miss Brittany needed time off in 2nd shift at Madison-Grant Elementary School, then that person would step into that position and fill that position. They would be responsible for ordering supplies, tracking and stocking inventory, scheduling staff for ECA events, finding necessary subs for call-offs and vacations, custodial level grounds management for snow and ice removal, weeding and rocks and mulch, that piece. They would be the direct supervisor for our student custodial workers. So the students that we hire over the course of the school year, they would be directly responsible for them. Special projects including wet sealing tiles, paint touch-up, that type of stuff. Sports facility relief with now the outdoor facility in addition to the sports facilities that we already have in here. They would be responsible for preventative maintenance, filter changing in mechanical room and or outside air handlers. They would assist in grounds. So let's say if they didn't have the sub for a custodian on Tuesday, then we can put them on a mower and they can mow and help on grounds to then free up Mr. Barton and Mr. Richards to continue to attack maintenance items. And then just any additional tasks assigned by our maintenance director. Then our additional custodians or just our corporation custodians would just be assigned to their areas and would be responsible for those areas as they have been in years past. And so that would be the way that would shift, and that's how that would look.
So for the head custodian though, somebody is off on second shift, I need to cover that. Are they then gonna do first shift and second shift, or
They just do second shift.
so would they have an issue doing the rest of their roles if they're just coming in second shift? I mean, if they need to do,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we just have to redistribute, but you guys, I want to remind you that we're taking 2 buildings of custodians. We haven't riffed anybody. So this is a way that, we looked at the pool of resources that we had, and the needs that we have and trying to identify. Honestly, what it does is it frees up our building level custodians where they don't get pulled away for other duties or responsibilities, like what often happens now. So there's sometimes where right now, currently the way it's structured is we've had to pull a custodian to cover an area. And then what happens is maybe their area doesn't get completely done because maybe they just go in and grab trash and get the worst out, but they don't have a chance to complete the rest of their work. So this protects them more and protects those areas to where those areas will get consistently completed more often.
is there a possibility that because we're going from 3 staffs, 3 buildings to 2, that if one person is missing from second shift, you'd still be able to do that with the assigned? That necessarily, that head custodian wouldn't always have to go fill on that shift if there was enough.
Correct, depending on the need. But yeah, correct. So that we'd have flexibility. But this gives us 1 point person for all of our custodians. Right now, then there's kind of 3 separate point people. This gives us 1 point person from that standpoint, as we just look to get all areas covered consistently, knowing that we have the staffing that we currently have.
With the duties that you mentioned, it seems to me like they're probably gonna be using some tools and need some kind of transportation. Is that correct? Is that gonna be something that they are able to use maintenance transportation?
Correct.
for and tools?
Correct. So that, yes,
So they're part of that.
they could have access to those resources. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what does the organization look like? So,
A head custodian.
right, but who's the head custodian go to? Who do they report to? Mr. Richards?
Yes.
And then who does he report to?
Me.
You, okay.
So Mrs. Drew is our transportation director, and Mr. Richards, our facility maintenance director,
Right.
both report directly to me.
So is there somebody already in mind for that position, or do you guys still have to?
There is. So what we did is we had conversations with our current 3 head custodians, and there was only 1 interested in the description that I presented this evening.
Any other questions? All right, need a motion for the restructure of the custodial department, please. First by Mr. Hannah, second by Mr. Stanley. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Okay, the next item I have for you this evening is non-certified employee raises and stipends. And so I'm going to explain this to bring clarity. But what you guys have in front of you tonight is my recommendation for non-certified employee raises and stipends. Why do I say and stipends? What I'm attempting to do in these raises for these non-certified employees is to simplify our pay scales, and then they're also reflective of the restructuring of these departments. Because as I mentioned, let's talk custodial department, for example. We had 3 head custodians. The junior, senior high head custodian made this much. The elementary custodians made this much. And then all the other custodians made this much. So what this recommendation accounts for is that everybody in that department receives the same amount of raise. It's just some are distributed as base increase plus stipend to ensure that every one of those employees in our custodial department receive the same amount of money for the 26-27 school year. And then the same thing in instructional aides. We had 3 pay rates for instructional aides. And to be honest with you, the pay rates and the way that we determine those pay rates had no different impact on the job that needed to be done. And so this structure that I propose this evening provides all of our part-time employees the same hourly rate of $15 an hour. So whether they're a part-time instructional aide, whether they're an office assistant, whether they are a bus aide, All of our part-time positions, cafeteria, it would just go to $15 an hour. Okay, and you can see in the document that I have in front of you, the difference between how we're currently structured to what I'm recommending here this evening and how much more simplified it gets. This equates to where I started was with a 4% raise. Okay, so I started with a 4% raise for our non-certified employees. As you go down through that list, you will see some categories that are a little bit more than 4%, our instructional aides being one of them. Our custodial department being another one with a larger raise. From a percentage standpoint, what I did there is I compared to market, I compared to other districts in our area and trying to get us to more level ground. I think we're all aware that a new hospital went out at the Gas City exit, and there's also a new Parkview facility going in out at 18 and 69 as well. I would say that our custodial jobs in our school buildings are much more appealing than those, but I have to at least somewhat remain competitive to make sure that as we have positions turnover, we position ourselves for the most qualified, best candidate we can receive. So on the second one there, that's where you can see the percentage increase, and that's where you can also see a combination of any position that may receive a salary increase plus a stipend increase. And so that's why I provided that document for you as well.
Do you know on top, how many custodians do we have on top? Do we have?
So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 custodians total. So my restructuring that we just approved would be 1 head custodian and 8 custodians. And the way it works is then just our campuses are split up in areas and custodians are assigned to those areas, and that's the area that they're responsible for.
I think it's awesome that everyone's getting at minimum 4% raise in this economic climate that we have, with all of our employees getting a 4%, minimum 4% raise, and some getting quite a bit more than that. I think that's pretty good.
We've been fortunate in the last 2 master contract agreements that we've been able to come in on the back end of them and deliver the raises to our non-certified employee groups as well. And that's what I'm recommending we continue here this evening. And so I think the other thing to remember in this is that these employee groups, based upon our pattern of the last 3 collective bargaining agreements, these employee groups won't get touched again for 2 years. And so that's why, some people may see 4% or, 7 in some areas. But again, I just like to remind you guys that that will be what it will be from 26 through 28.
Any other questions? I don't want to stop somebody if they've got a question. Nope. All right. If we are all good, then I need a motion for the approval of the non-certified employee pay increase, please. First by Dr. Sneed, second by Mr. Stanley. All those in favor? Motion passes.
I will be communicating with each of those employees tomorrow to just communicate that and give them a heads up. So thank you guys. I think it's vitally important, that we remain consistent, because oftentimes, our teachers are represented by an association in the collective bargaining process. But to their credit, they have bought in, since I slid in the seat in 21, that when we come to the collective bargaining table, we're bargaining for all of our employees. And it's just, this employee group is in rear of that, because we settle that agreement and get that taken care of and then come on the back end to recommend these. So thank you guys.
For a reason, I just noticed. Fleet mechanic. Yeah, over here was 52.5.
Yep.
Fleet mechanic's 50 here.
We hired you.
I figured that was it.
Yep. The next item I have for you this evening is requesting permission to advertise fuel bids for the next 2 years. We would accept bids through 10 a.m. on Tuesday, June 30th. I'll then bring a recommendation to you guys. Those effective bids would be from August 1, 26 through July 31, 2028. Mr. Weiber, I know there was a question. I did reach out to our current vendor. They are currently encouraging people to not lock in right now, considering everything that's happening in Iran and the values that we're seeing at the pump. So they're encouraging people to not lock in at this point in time.
Makes sense.
Need a motion for permission to advertise fuel bids, please. First by Mr. Stanley, second by Mr. Haynes. All those in favor? Motion passes.
So they're just recommending kind of buying what you need, you know, for right now.
And we'll stay in communication depending on who we receive bids from and who gets the bid. We'll stay in communication with them. And, you know, if that opportunity does exist where we feel like it may be a good opportunity to lock in.
So currently with Keystone.
Correct. Okay, the next item I have for you this evening is our second reading of Neola Policy Volume 38, Number 1. You guys received the first reading in our last meeting, so just seeking approval of that policy update.
Any questions or any policy updates? All right. Need a motion for the Neola Volume 38 policy updates, please. First by Mr. Stanley, second by Dr. Sneed. All those in favor? Motion passes.
That concludes us for action items this evening and brings us to miscellaneous. So the first thing, and Ms. Richards, I'll have you help me out because you spoke to him, but we have a revision to Volume 38, Number 2. So I'm presenting that back to you this evening for a first reading or a third reading, whatever we want to call it. But a first reading to that revision to Volume 38, Number 2. That summary was included, or that executive file summary was included in board docs, so you do have it there. Take a peek at that. If you have any questions, reach out. But it was in regards to policy 5136, personal communication devices. The change, which has been titled PO 5136R, is due to a glitch. The policy changes are required to follow the normal approval process. Attached, you'll find the updated policy. Again, first reading this evening, no votes required. So take a peek at that. If you end up with questions, I don't remember what it was right off the top of my head. I can pull it up and tell you.
Smart
And it's
watches.
just the one policy, it's
Smart.
not all of them.
Smart
Just
watches.
that one.
That's what it was. It has to be a smart watch connected to cellular towers. Yeah.
Tower.
So that is the revision to that policy that you guys approved at our last meeting.
Okay.
So we don't need to do anything with that. It's just there for you. We'll jump into superintendent's updates, and we will jump into May 2026 cash flow. So we started the month of May in our education fund with $4,097,187.62. We did receive $1,598,890.24, and we spent $1,519,630.46, leaving us with a fund balance of $4,176,447.40. Mr. White already brought attention to some increase in expenditures in the 100 and 200 lines. Much of that is tied to our $76,000 Heinz Career Center bill. I will tell you that was our bill for the 2024-25 school year. So I've yet to receive our bill for the 25-26 school year, but if it's at this same rate, it'll be a minute. But that is the reason that those expenditures were higher in the 1 and 200. And then, like I mentioned, we also did pay some spring sport ECA stipends. You guys have any questions in regard to our education fund? We get through the month of June, I'll really start to hone in on this. Reminder, we will get new payments from the state beginning in July, which will then reconcile against fall counts. We're always asked to submit an estimate, but for whatever reason, the estimate that we submit never gets used and they plug a number in there. But I'll get access to that in July, and then I'll update this spreadsheet based off that. And then as we get into August and I start seeing butts and seats, I'll be able to fine tune it a little bit more. But we'll continue to navigate that as I look at our appropriations and then also an end of year transfer.
What's the Medicaid adjustment?
So what happens here is we have started billing Medicaid, as many school districts do. So based upon the Medicaid reimbursement that we receive, there's a calculation and a formula and a percentage that I have to use to receive a portion of that money into our federal Medicaid fund and into our state Medicaid fund. What the state then does is they reduce my tuition support by that amount that gets funneled into my state. So what you guys will see from me is a recommendation in June for a transfer from that state Medicaid fund into our education fund.
Okay.
I'm only gonna do that twice a year instead of doing it each month. But you can see right now, this year so far, that's $20,000. And so if that holds true and it's another 5, it could be roughly $25,000 that we will transfer from the state Medicaid fund back into our education fund.
Are those for mental health, socio-emotional needs and medical needs?
So special education,
Okay.
so special education services.
Yeah,
Okay. Makes sense.
that's 48,000. Sure.
So it's a good chunk of money. And then with our Medicaid, with our federal Medicaid fund, we basically have free reign. I say free reign, I mean, we're limited, but we can use that on special ed supplies. We could use that on special ed salaries. We could use that on special ed services, whatever it may be. So what that then does is that relieves a little bit of a burden on our special ed 611 grant, because now Mrs. Wygrew and I can budget salaries and benefits into our 611 grant, knowing that we have that federal Medicaid fund to go get supplies, to pay for PD, any professional services, any of those types of things. Yeah, I mean, so it takes some of the burden off of our 611, which then indirectly takes some of the burden off of our education fund. So a little extra work for Mrs. Wygrew and I, but for the most part is definitely worth the extra work. We will jump out of education, debt service, saw no activity. It will see activity this month, but it saw no activity in the month of May. So we started and ended the month with $514,220.31. Let's jump to operations fund. We started the month of May in our operations fund with $2,097,403.20. We did receipt in $19,901.33, and we spent $451,489.04, leaving us with a fund balance of $1,665,815.49. Why were expenditures up? In the 3 and 600 line, best one is we continue to wrap up repairs in preparation for bus inspections. Resolve Tech at a little shy of $30,000 for the air handler that feeds this room, in addition to the counseling room, our counselors, school counselors area, and across the hall, that area. So that we needed a replacement there. We did go out and receive 3 bids. That was the best bid. That was the reason for the crane being here on the morning of testing. But we had that expense. CF Building Solutions is replacing our storefront at the ELC building, all that glass and storefront area, as well as building 1 wall in our main office area at Parkville, what will be Madison-Grant Elementary, to create that additional office in that space. Shane Cole Painting, he is the one that has pressure washed this entire building at this point, moving to the ELC building once CF Building Solutions is complete, painted both gyms, and so that is a portion of his work. Keystone is gas and diesel, and Menards was a little over $46,000 because we actually purchased all the ceiling tiles that we are replacing. So that is why when I saw that $151,000, I dug a little deeper, and then when I also saw our 400 expenditures up a little bit, but that is the reason why there. Much of our other summer work is being paid out of our 2023 bond proceeds. So, and I'll give you guys an update on where we are with that when we come back in our second meeting in June. There any additional questions to our operations fund?
So we're pressure washing this building, right? We're pressure washing the building.
The exterior.
Are we sealing it after we do that, or what do we do?
So that is, as we continue to progress through the summer and we see what our dollar amounts are, then we'll come back to that. So this hasn't been pressure washed.
Hasn't,
Has not.
not yet.
Well, it has. This building has. Up to, I've got an update coming for you guys here.
Okay.
But the ELC building has not been yet. But what I'm saying is that this building had not. I wish I do actually have a before and after picture.
Oh, I know.
But
But my point, I guess what I was feeling at was the best time to seal it is before it gets any more dust back on.
directly after.
Yeah.
So Mr. Richards was obtaining quotes for that,
Mhm.
but I was trying to protect to make sure that we got
Fine.
the other pieces done that we got done. So, yes,
That's.
Yep.
If harvest comes, it's.
I know. Yep. It's all over at Harvest Guns because it just all adheres right back to the brick and mortar.
Oh,
Rainy day, no activity, so we still have $1,746.36. I don't even really want to give an update on ADM because it's summertime and I threw the figures in from Power School, but a lot of those are figures just from the end of the school year and everything else, so not much value there at this point.
How much does virtual prep do during the summer? Do they have any summer school type? I mean,
B prep. So, we will resume because with their alternative school, that becomes the credit recovery. That becomes the platform for summer school. So, we currently have summer school going on here right now, where we offer it for our students. But yeah, that doesn't impact any of our numbers or reimbursement from the state. The state is now reimbursing per kid rather than per course. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and what kind of reimbursement we get and if their allocation in the state budget is enough to cover summer school across the state of Indiana. Summer work update. Let me throw on my glasses for this because I had Mr. Richards give me an update today on where we are with everything, just so you guys are in the loop as we have multiple moving parts. At Madison-Grant Elementary, Sawyer Taylor is currently doing the inside work, installing the ceiling cassettes for the mini splits in classrooms. So in the former 5th and 6th grade hallway, that's classroom 33, 35, 40, 41, 42, 43. And what was the former 4th grade hallway is 12 and 20. That's 8 of the 10 units that we budgeted. So he and I are actually walking the building on Thursday and assessing the building now that we're in a spell of some high humidity and high temps and he's monitoring his software to see if any other rooms flash. Those were the highest 8 on the priority list. But when I talk about remaining funds, if I identify that there's 3 additional classrooms above the 10 that we budgeted for, I may come back to you guys and ask to complete 3 more. They are doing that right now, prepping that, waiting on the remaining pieces to come in because they want to rent a crane one time to lift all that up and set that down at once. CF Building Solutions will begin next week, the 15th, on the construction of the wall and door install in the main office at Madison-Grant Elementary. We are still cleaning out. So there's only 3 left that need to maybe become a little bit more aggressive in organizing and clearing out their classrooms. But we've been moving stuff out left and right and taking furniture down to Summitville and then bringing items back with us, totes and that sort of thing. So we're not wasting a trip. Cunningham Glass is tentatively scheduled to replace doors 2, 3, 5, and 7 at Madison-Grant Elementary next week as well. Keeley Flooring will be on site June 29th and 30th to replace the carpet in the old music room. So that's that. At the Early Learning Center, CF Building, along with Cunningham's Glass as their sub, will be on site the week of 6/22. Over here to remove, I don't know if you guys remember when we used to meet over there, and that used to be central office and those storefronts and the water and everything else. Out here at the main campus, Shane Cole Painting has finished both gyms, power washing of the building. He is also, I forgot this, but is going to paint the fascia, so the fascia trim all the way around the building, that's going to get painted as well.
I literally today was walking in going, "Can you get that?"
Yeah, so they went ahead and pressure washed it, and then they are painting that as well. W.R. Duncan has the majority of the junior high gym ceiling completed with the exception of refurbishing or replacing the diffusers and the tile adjacent to those diffusers. They're now in the high school gym and have been informed that they need to be out by 7/19 or July 19th for gym floor refinishing. Once they leave that place, they will then go to the auditorium. Flex Green Lighting has completed the junior high gym. They knew they couldn't start on the high school gym until after graduation. So we have a call into them about their schedule. They have already been in contact with W.R. Duncan because they're coordinating together, because W.R. Duncan's doing ceiling tile while Flex Green Lighting is doing the gym lighting. Billy's Asphalt, we put that out on quote for resealing and finishing and all that restriping. Because one of the adjustments that we're going to make at Madison-Grant Elementary is that front lot is going to be lined for buses only, other than handicap spots up by the entry. The staff parking lot there to the south and there to the east, south and east, will be lined for staff parking. So with us only going to one elementary school, we're going to utilize that entire front lot, kind of like what resembles our front lot right out here, with the angled bus parking. So they are going to partially shut down with barricades this weekend on the north side of this campus. They're basically doing everything from our new asphalt up, okay, and then in front of Park Elementary. Then at Summitville, food has been removed and brought to the junior senior high campus per Mrs. Bernay's request. Majority of classroom materials have been delivered to Madison-Grant Elementary School, and old furniture from Park Elementary School has been moved down to Summitville Elementary School, except with the exception of the summer school classes. So we're currently on the back end of summer school, so those classrooms remain intact. And then Mr. Richards and Mr. Barton will be the ones constructing the separation walls at Madison-Grant Elementary School in what was the old title room. There's a bulkhead there. We're just going to construct a wall beneath that bulkhead with a door that goes into each of those other outdoor spaces. So the two of them are going to do that. So that gives you a little bit of a construction, summer work construction update. Locker room roof update. So we did receive a locker room update, and I'll lean on Mr. Wygrew here a little bit to bring you guys up to speed on that. But my understanding in the update that we've received is that the repair that was needed to ensure that we didn't have water issues has already been completed, and that cost has been shared between our general contractor and the roofing installer. Okay. There were suggested additional work that Mr. Wygrew could speak to more educationally than I could. But one of the questions that he and I both have for them is who would be responsible for that additional work. He and I are going to go walk that roof after this meeting this evening. But I have shared their response that I received with him. And so he's looked at that. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to offer at this time.
Not this time.
Okay. So, but that ball is rolling right now. Repair has been made for the damage that was present. And then I'll coordinate with him as we move forward through that. Also, this past week or last week, I don't remember, Mr. Wygrew and I also met virtually for about an hour to review our debt analysis from Policy Analytics and Steeple. Okay. And so we looked through this and dug into it and bounced some things off each other. And right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at this point in time, what our recommendation is that we sit status quo. We see what legislation happens in this next cycle, even the impact of the election of a next governor, and just to let some of that play out, not necessarily react to our current state, just because of the negative pressure that surrounded that we hate to react to it and then something change in the next 12 to 18 months, and we didn't need to. And so thankfully, we're positioned in a spot where we don't have to react to it, and we can sit status quo, and we can allow the dust to settle and see where things shake out. As things shake out and as things move, Steve and Policy Analytics will update that information for us and and we can revisit it and so forth. But right now, we're not gonna recommend that we do anything from a debt side at this point in time. We just continue to operate under our current debt structure and move forward in that way. Miss anything?
Sit tight.
Okay.
Question. I can't remember when we did it, but we went, the boys' locker room there off the gym, high school gym, had that leak back in the shower.
Was that in the PE locker room or the varsity locker room? PE locker room, okay?
Back here.
Yeah, just.
In the main gym.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember there was some staining on the floor.
About they had to lock water out. I mean, they got to shut the whole water off to get in. Cause I walked in there after graduation and it's still leaking back in there. And so.
The showers that aren't used anymore.
Yeah, let me.
I was asking why, I was just looking at it myself, why you couldn't get just a shut off valve, and just simple brass valve and just spin it on the threads there. And that'd be a lot cheaper. They don't get used anyway. I mean,
How about the one's got on the moss? It's basically.
oh, because it's like staining the wall and the floor, and I think they tried to, but unless those threads, I was trying to see because they're corroded.
Right.
Whether they're broken off. Threads are so good. The threads are so good, you should be able to thread either a cap or a valve to shut it off.
I'll follow up.
That'd be cheaper in my
Yep.
mind. Because they don't get used.
Yeah, they don't.
Is it pressurized? Is it under pressure?
I can't hear you.
Is it under pressure?
I'll have to, I don't.
I would guess it is, and that valve is just letting water go up.
It's a leaking by.
Yeah. I'll follow up on that. Just letting you guys know, you will receive your board pay July 10th. Okay, so that will be part of our July 10th payroll. You guys will receive that updated spreadsheet. As Mrs. Richards finalizes that at the end of this month and feeds that information to Allison, but just wanted you guys to be aware of that. We finished summer school. Okay, and as part of summer school is retesting of students that did not pass I-Read 3 during the school year. Okay, and so we have up through summer school retesting for those students to count in our pass percentage. And it excites me to report to you guys this evening that we had a 92% pass rate for I-Read 3 this year.
Wow.
I will remind you that last year we were 71%.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's awesome.
So a lot of excitement around that. A ton of work by our third grade team, by our title team, by our sped team, by the admin team at the building level, by our interventionists, our learning coaches. Just a ton of work went into that with a ton of intentional focus because it needed to get better. And, you know, as I've already challenged them in our admin retreat, but 95 is the bar, you know, and that's where we're setting the goal. And so there's still more work to do. We're excited for that work. Our admin retreat focused on some of those pieces. We brought in our two learning coaches, interventionists, and Mrs. Hyatt and Mrs. Dishman. But just a ton of intentional work from, you know, that's been over a 2-year period here that started at Summitville when those kids were second graders. So good to see kind of some fruit of the labor. But again, not satisfied, but definitely something for us to celebrate.
20%.
That brings us to public expressions. The public is always invited to speak before the board. Please stand when recognized by the president and state your first and last name. Comments should be addressed to the board and be limited to corporation issues only. No complaints or accusations regarding personnel can be allowed during this public discussion time. A time limit of 3 minutes will be given. If more than one person is represented for a group, only one spokesperson will be heard. Never know.
Very true.
Just a YouTube link. School board expressions.
Well, I think graduation was
Yep.
very well done. Mr. Rutherford did an awesome job. And I went to my nephew's graduation, who had 500 kids in a very large school system. And our graduation way outshined that larger school graduation. Yeah, it was just very, very well done. Kids were well represented. Mr. Rutherford did well. And yeah,
I still think, going to graduation, I still think it's so impressive how many, even with the lower number, how many of these kids are getting the 30 credit hours and 60 credit hours, and then the ones that are just getting, welding and.
So many.
Certifications.
Do we
Not
know
to
what
pat ourselves in the back, that's pretty.
Do you know what percentage of our kids?
We're compiling that data now because that's,
It's a large
that's stuff, and I
percentage.
think that's and I've always said this, you guys, pound for pound and percentage for percentage.
Right.
I'll put up what we do against anybody.
Yeah.
And it's just, the number that you hear may sound small, but when you consider the percentage of the
Yes.
graduating class that it is impressive. So our associate's degree kids, our Indiana College Core kids, certifications, just the whole game is impressive and something to be proud of.
I think we had 54 kids in the work-based learning / received some sort of.
Mhm.
Credential is part of that,
And we had 66 graduate, so,
Yeah.
I mean,
when you think about that.
when you think about, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, the IRE's impressive. So yeah, I mean, kudos to those teachers. I mean, that's a lot of work for the teachers and the aides. So that was awesome to be able to see that as well. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
Okay, upcoming events. So today I spent my day in Plainfield at the ISBA school wall seminar. If any of you are interested in attending the ISBA budget finance seminar, that's June 18th at 8 a.m., just shoot Anna or I a message and let us know. If there are any takers for June 19th, Madison-Grant United School Corporation will be represented in the Grant County Youth for Christ golf outing out at Arbor Trace in northern Grant County. So if any of you are interested in playing in that, let me know. And I'm looking for 3.
It is a lot of fun. If you've not done it, I'm on the board with them and we're gonna be on vacation or I would be out there, but it's a lot of fun.
If you just shoot me a text if you want to play. If there's a team of 4 that's entered. Madison-Grant United School Corporation is a sponsor of the event. They always have good school engagement in that event. And again, it's, you guys, I haven't played for probably more than 365 days. I don't know, it probably was the YFC golf outing last summer. But if you have any interest in playing, let me know, and then I'll fill out from there. We'll be back in here on June 23rd at 7 p.m. for another board meeting.
All right. Need a motion for adjournment, please. First by Mr. Stanley, second by Mr. Haynes. All those in favor? Meeting's adjourned. Motion passes. Meeting's adjourned.
Got your papers in my car.
I was gonna take those chances to play.